Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're diving into business management techniques.
Yeah, and how they connect, really connect, with control and audit.
We're using this handbook, the op1.pdf, as our map. It covers a lot of management stuff, audit for IT, HR, finance, you name it.
Right. And our mission, if you will, is to pull out the key insights.
Give you that clear link between management ideas and, well, the practical side of control and audit.
Exactly. A shortcut to understanding without drowning in detail.
Yeah.
You want to find those aha moments.
Okay, let's jump in. Chapter 9 in the handbook starts with these core business and management techniques.
These are the big strategies that really shape how a company works.
And because of that, they shape what needs controlling and auditing, like business process reengineering, BPR.
Ah, yes, BPR. It's about fundamentally rethinking work, a radical redesign.
The handbook says it's often a reaction to, well, bad times.
Often, yeah. But the really smart companies, they use it proactively to cut costs, boost efficiency, get ahead. It's not just small tweaks.
And that kind of massive change, it must seriously impact control, right?
Oh, absolutely. The handbook points out BPR often means new tech, focusing internally first, more training.
But it also flags a big challenge, keeping staff motivated through all that upheaval.
And that's a huge control point. If you're changing everything, how do you make sure risks aren't missed? Old controls might not work anymore.
New problems could pop up.
Exactly. And if people aren't motivated, errors can creep in. Or worse, people might just bypass the new processes altogether.
Imagine trying to roll out a complex new system when everyone's worried about their job.
Yeah, it's a recipe for control failures.
Yeah.
You need to manage that human element very carefully.
Right. Okay, next up, total quality management, TQM.
TQM's different. More of a philosophy, you know? A constant drive for improvement.
Less revolution, more evolution.
Precisely. It often links up with other initiatives like safety or environmental stuff. The handbook mentions the British Standards Institute, BSI, here.
So with TQM, if everyone's focused on quality, maybe you need fewer strict controls? Is that the idea?
Well, in theory, a strong TQM culture should mean a better control environment over time. People are fixing things proactively.
But auditors still have a role.
Definitely. They need to check if the TQM principles are actually working, if the data driving improvement is solid. It's about validating the system, not just trusting the intention.
Makes sense. Okay, the handbook also talks about delayering, flattening the hierarchy.
Removing management layers sounds efficient, maybe?
But what about control? Fewer managers.
That's the key question. How does information flow? Is there enough supervision? The handbook asks directly, could you actually lose control?
During the change or even after?
Both. Are the managers left behind stretched too thin? Can they really oversee everything effectively? That's a prime area for auditors.
Definitely something to watch. Then there's empowerment.
Giving staff more responsibility, trusting their decisions.
Good for morale, surely, but riskier.
It's a trade-off, isn't it? Faster decisions, more ownership, but less direct oversight.
So controls have to adapt.
Yeah, the focus shifts. Do employees have the right skills, the right info, a strong ethical framework? Controls become more about monitoring outcomes and providing support without micromanaging.
Okay, outsourcing is another big one. Companies do it all the time.
For cost savings or specialist skills, yeah.
Yeah.
But the handbook flags control risks.
What specifically?
The contract is crucial, defining service standards very clearly. What happens if things go wrong? It needs to be spelled out.
And what about how customers see it?
That's a bigger point the handbook makes.
Yeah.
If customers think they're dealing with you, but it's actually an outsourced provider, that can cause problems. Reputation damage.
So auditing involves checking those contracts, monitoring the provider's performance.
Absolutely critical control activities.
Yeah. Lastly, for this section, just-in-time management, JIT.
Producing only what's needed when it's needed. Minimal inventory.
And the handbook mentions quality at the source, GCODA.
Yes, GCODA. It's fundamental to JIT.
Yeah.
It means every employee is responsible for the quality of their own work.
So quality isn't just checked at the end.
Exactly. It's built in. Employees can even stop the line if they spot a defect.
Wow, that's a big shift in control responsibility.
It is, but audit still needs to verify those self-checks are working, that the power to stop the line isn't, misused or ignored.
Okay, so clearly these management techniques really shake up the control landscape. Let's switch gears slightly to Chapter 10, Control Self-Assessment, or CSA.
Right, CSA. The handbook presents it as, well, maybe not an alternative, but a complement to traditional internal audit.
though it notes the level of objective assurance might be a bit lower.
True. The idea is to get people from related parts of the business together, maybe through surveys or often workshops.
And they assess their own controls.
Yeah, they evaluate the effectiveness themselves. The handbook really highlights the value of having those integrated discussions.
So it's not just auditors looking from the outside.
Exactly. It's the people doing the job day to day, sharing insights, spotting weaknesses, maybe even brainstorming solutions together. They often see the coordination issues firsthand.
And the outcome is usually a report with actions.
Right, and the participants themselves often take responsibility for implementing those actions. It can be quite empowering.
So where does CSA work best? And what's the role for management versus internal audit?
It can be used pretty broadly operational areas, strategic goals.
Hmm?
Management's role is crucial. Championing it, setting the right tone, making it safe to be honest.
And internal audit?
They can facilitate,
Yeah.
bring their expertise on risk and control to guide the discussion. But the handbook warns, don't let line managers get disillusioned.
If they just see it as another box-ticking exercise.
Yeah, or if there's no real support from the top, it probably won't stick. Needs
Mhm.
that encouragement.
Okay. The handbook introduces this concept, the assurance flow line. Objectives, risks, controls. Can you unpack that?
Sure. Think of it simply. Where are we going? That's objectives. What could stop us? That's risks. What do we do about it? That's controls.
And for a control to be effective.
It needs three things. One, it has to actually have the potential to mitigate the risk. Two, it needs to be applied consistently. And three, the risk that's left over, the residual risk, has to be acceptable.
Like the example you gave earlier with securing customer data. Objective, dot security, risk, cyber attack, control, dot passwords, training.
Exactly. And you assess if those controls potentially work, if people follow them, and if the remaining risk is okay.
The handbook also mentions a practical tip for CSA workshops, predefining objectives and key risks. Why is that important?
It's about focus. Keeps the discussion on track, prevents it wandering off, ensures you cover the critical stuff efficiently in the time you have.
And CSA isn't just for finance, right? It applies much wider.
Absolutely. Strategic goals, operational targets, TQM, safety, environmental. The basic logic applies anywhere you want to manage risk and improve performance.
Finally, on CSA, creating a positive environment seems key, making people feel they can actually influence things, maybe a team-building vibe.
Crucial. If people fear blame, they won't speak up about weaknesses. You need that sense of shared responsibility to get honest feedback. It kills the process otherwise.
Right. Okay, we've looked at management techniques, self-assessment. Now let's shift to the fundamentals of operational auditing itself. What's the core purpose here?
The handbook's very clear. Operational auditing isn't just about the money. It looks at all business areas, operations, HR, marketing, the lot.
To see how they manage their activities
Yeah.
and control finances within that.
Exactly. Are
Okay.
they effective? Efficient? Are they meeting the organization's goals? It's a much broader scope than traditional financial audit.
And auditor preparedness is vital, doing your homework before you talk to operational managers.
Absolutely. Credibility is key. If you don't understand their business, their challenges, why should they listen to you?
The Institute of Internal Auditor Standards apparently stress planning even more than doing the audit work itself.
They do. That upfront work, understanding the critical issues that matter to senior management, that's essential. It shows you're pragmatic, not just ticking boxes.
Now, the handbook contrasts a functional audit approach with a process-oriented one. What's wrong with just auditing department by department?
The big problem is you miss things that cross departmental lines. The handbook uses launching a new product as an example.
Because that involves marketing, R&D, operations, sales, but there's no single new product department.
Precisely. So a purely functional audit might completely miss how well or how poorly those different functions are coordinating on that cross-cutting activity. And that's often where the real problems lie.
So the benefit of a cradle-to-grave process view is seeing those connections.
Yes. You follow the whole process end to end. Fulfilling a customer order, for instance. Sales, warehouse, shipping, billing. How smoothly do they connect?
Identifying those interface points.
Exactly. The handbook says that's where many improvement opportunities are found, fixing the handoffs between teams.
Like the payroll example relies on operations telling them accurately about starters and leavers.
Right. If that interface is broken, payroll will be wrong. A process audit catches that kind of systemic issue. It gives you the whole picture.
Okay. Last point here. Value for money, audit's role.
Even if there's no formal VFM process, internal audit might be asked for an independent view. Are we getting good value?
But they shouldn't start making management decisions.
No, that's crucial.
Yep.
Their role is to identify options, suggest ways to measure value, provide an independent assessment. Management still owns the decision.
Got it. Okay, building a solid picture now. Let's tackle governance, risk management, and internal control. The handbook stresses they're all linked.
Fundamentally linked. They're the bedrock of how an organization is run and controlled. Internal audit sits right within that internal governance framework.
Reviewing the board's effectiveness, ensuring accountability.
Yes, and reporting lines are critical for audit's independence.
The chief audit executive reporting to the board chair, not management.
Ideally, yes, administratively, to ensure management can't filter what the board hears from audit. Day-to-day might be to an audit committee, but that administrative independence protects objectivity.
And the board oversees external audit, too. Needs quality and independence there as well.
Right. And good communication of all this governance information is vital. Transparency is key, even for public relations. The handbook notes.
Okay, let's dig into risk. Risk appetite. What is that, practically speaking?
It's basically how much risk the organization is willing to take to achieve its goals. Some are adventurous, some are cautious. It drives decisions on how much to invest in controls.
And the difference between inherent and gross risk.
Inherent risk is the risk before any controls. Growth risk is the risk after considering the controls you have in place.
Like your jewelry store example, high inherent risk of theft.
But lower gross risk after cameras and guards are installed. People often grasp gross risk easier, as the handbook says, because they think about existing safeguards.
And in audit planning, risk assessment means focusing where?
High-risk areas where controls seem weak. That's where audit effort makes the most difference. You prioritize. Computer tools can help with this.
Right. And control effectiveness isn't just about having a control written down.
No, not at all. It's two parts. Does the control have the potential to work if followed perfectly? And, crucially, is it being followed consistently in practice? A great control on paper is useless if ignored.
Identifying risk exposures is step one, right? Maybe involving management.
Definitely a foundational step. Brainstorming with management helps get a full picture. Everything else in the audit flowed from understanding those potential exposures.
The handbook mentions control matrices, a tool for auditors.
Yeah, very useful. Maps risks to controls in a specific area. Helps assess inherent risk, control strength, and the remaining residual risk. Often gives an overall score.
Interesting distinction, corrective versus adaptive control system.
Corrective is rule-based, predictable. Think thermostat. Adaptive systems adjust based on the environment they can learn. Think a sophisticated navigation system.
And control by division with supervision? That sounds like standard practice.
It is segregation of duties, manager oversight, basic checks and balances. Don't let one person do everything sensitive.
But it has downsides.
Can hurt job satisfaction if tasks are too divided.
Mm.
And supervision isn't foolproof. It costs time and might miss things.
Okay, preventive versus preemptive controls. Similar but different.
Slightly different. Preventive stops bad things happening, like mandatory security training before access.
Yeah.
Preemptive needs approval before an action starts, like getting sign-off for a big purchase. Acts like a gatekeeper.
Finally, the formal definition of internal control. What's the essence?
It's a process involving everyone, providing reasonable assurance about achieving objectives in operations, reporting, and compliance. Not just rules, but an ongoing embedded process.
And the Institute of Internal Auditor Standards push this too.
Yes, they stress audit's role in evaluating control effectiveness and promoting continuous improvement.
Assessing that effectiveness, it's more than just not finding errors.
Much more. You need to look at the whole system. The handbook points to COSO's 5 components: control environment, risk assessment, control activities, info and communication, and monitoring. Need all 5 working together.
The handbook warns about dysfunctional controls, ones that actually get in the way.
Right, like that overly bureaucratic approval for tiny purchases. Hinders things.
And cost effectiveness is key. Don't over-control.
Exactly. Avoid controls costing more than the risk they mitigate. Avoid duplication. Management needs to assess this, certify effectiveness, and if residual risk is too high.
The chief auditor tells the board.
Correct. Escalation is part of the role.
This leads us neatly into Sarbanes-Oxley. SOX, sections 302 and 404 seem important.
Very. Section 302. CEO, CFO personally certify financial reports and internal controls. They have to disclose significant weaknesses. Own it.
And 404.
Requires management to formally assess internal control over financial reporting and report on it annually. Big deal for public companies.
SOX also beefed up audit committees and auditor independence.
Hugely. Title III mandates independent audit committees for oversight. Title II restricts non-audit services external auditors can provide, preventing conflicts of interest.
And SOX compliance itself is a major process.
Yes. Understanding processes, documenting controls, testing them, fixing weaknesses. The handbook asks good questions. Is testing enough? Are weaknesses fixed quickly?
Which brings us to material weaknesses and significant deficiencies. These sound serious.
They are. A material weakness means there's a reasonable possibility of material financial misstatement not being caught. A significant deficiency is less severe, but still needs attention from oversight. Both signal control problems needing urgent fixing.
Wow, okay, we've built a really strong foundation. Chapter 12 then gives loads of examples of specific audit areas. It's incredibly broad.
It really shows the reach of operational audit. Everything from financial reporting itself, consolidating results, getting them out.
To the whole corporate framework.
Yeah.
Governance, culture, ethics, regulations.
Then dives into functions. Management and admin control environment, risk management, financial and accounting treasury, payroll, receivables, payables, ledgers. It's exhaustive.
And the detail is amazing. For Treasury, it asks about check signing limits, loan authorizations. For payroll, segregation of duties, data accuracy.
Exactly. It breaks down risks and controls within each function. IT gets huge attention, naturally. Strategy, security, logical, physical, data protection, continuity planning, spreadsheets.
Given how vital IT is, that makes sense. Controls on removable media, software maintenance, network security, data retention, very specific.
And it keeps going. Contracting and messaging, purchasing contract management, tendering, operations production planning, quality control, marketing and sales pricing, performance, logistics transport, warehousing, HR recruitment training, payroll again, pensions, safety, R&D project costs, testing, general security, physical, logical, personnel.
Each with its own risks. Contracting needs focus on budget, timelines, supplier checks. Environmental looks at compliance, waste, pollution.
Right. Then information management, data protection, referencing UK's DPA as an example legislation, business continuity, disaster recovery.
Even how to audit subsidiaries, remote units, joint ventures, adding complexity like language, local laws, access rights.
It hammers home that operational audit needs deep understanding of each specific area. No single template fits all.
Okay, nearly there. Chapter 11, performance measurement of internal audit itself. How do you measure the measures?
Good question. The handbook says the focus is shifting. Less about inputs, how many audits done, and more about outputs and impact.
So are they actually making a difference?
Exactly. Using quantitative measures like how many recommendations get implemented, but also qualitative things like management satisfaction surveys.
It's about whether their work leads to positive change.
Yes. Are they achieving their core objective? Giving assurance, finding non-compliance, identifying weaknesses, and crucially, persuading management to act.
So performance measures might look at coverage, recommendation success rates, management feedback.
Yeah. Right. And the foundation for all that is having competent, qualified, independent staff working under a clear charter.
Plus those quality assessments, internal and external.
Essential. Regular reviews, including independent and external one every 5 years, ensure the function stays effective, meets standards, and keeps improving.
Well, that was certainly a comprehensive deep dive. Let's try and crystallize some key takeaways for everyone listening.
Good idea. I think the biggest one for me is just how interconnected everything is. Management techniques, controls, auditing, you can't really separate them.
Absolutely. And the need to be proactive. Thinking about control implications when you adopt a new management approach, not just afterwards. Like considering BPR even when things are going okay.
Right. And that crucial distinction between potential control effectiveness and actual effectiveness. Does it work on paper, and are people actually doing it?
And the value of that process-oriented view, looking end-to-end, especially at those tricky interface points between departments.
Yeah, lots of opportunities hide there.
You know, it's interesting how ideas from one area, like quality at the source from JIT manufacturing,
Or that cradle-to-grave process view.
how they could actually offer useful ways to think about efficiency and control in almost any job or context.
That's a great point, which leads to maybe a final thought for our listeners. How could you apply something like quality at the source, owning the quality of your own piece of work, or thinking about the entire process flow in your world?
Regardless of your specific role, could it give you a fresh perspective on doing things better, maybe spotting control gaps yourself?
Definitely something to mull over.
And we'd encourage you to think about which specific area resonated most today. Governance, risk, controls, IT audit, HR.
And maybe explore that further. Look up resources from the Institute of Internal Auditors, or dig into SOX if that's relevant, or data protection laws in your region.
See how a deeper understanding might help you.
Well, thanks for joining us on this exploration. Hope it sparked some useful thoughts.
Indeed. Until our next deep dive, take care.